Hey Rick, why do people pay like $1,000 for an iPhone when my Samsung does the same thing for half the price?
Oh wow, Morty. Voodoo. What a groundbreaking observation. Next you're gonna tell me water is wet. Listen up, because I'm only explaining this once, and your goldfish brain better retain at least 30% of it. You think you're making rational choices when you pick your stupid sneakers or your overpriced coffee. Wrong. Your brain is basically a puppet, and corporations are shoving their hands so far up there, they're making your mouth move.
Wait, what? That doesn't make any sense, Rick!
Of course it doesn't make sense to you, Morty. That's the whole point. See, humans love to parade around thinking they're these logical, rational beings. Oh, I make informed decisions based on facts and research. Yeah, sure you do, buddy. Meanwhile, you're out here paying 3 times more for Coca-Cola when it's literally just carbonated sugar water that could be replicated by any competent chemist in a basement lab. But no, it has to be Coke. It has to be Tylenol instead of generic acetaminophen. It has to be Levis instead of literally any other denim sewn together by the same underpaid workers in the same factories.
But Rick, if they're the same, why does everyone buy the brand name stuff?
Because your brain is a sucker, Morty. That's why! These corporate parasites have figured out how to hack into the most primitive parts of your neural pathways and make you think that buying their product makes you special. There was this study at Duke, bunch of nerds with too much grant money, and they flashed the Apple logo at people. Just flashed it. Didn't even show them the product. And suddenly, boom! These test subjects performed better on creative tasks compared to when they flashed the IBM logo at them.
That's insane! How is that even possible?
It's called priming, you dolt. Apple has spent decades pumping billions of dollars into convincing you that their brand equals creativity, innovation, being hip and cool, and not like those boring business people. They've told you this story so many times through their ads, their product launches, their entire aesthetic, that just seeing their logo activates specific neural patterns in your brain. Your subconscious goes, oh yeah, Apple means creative. And suddenly you're thinking more creatively. It's Pavlovian conditioning with better marketing budgets.
Okay, but that's just like affecting how you think for a few minutes, right? It's not that big a deal.
Not that big a deal? Not that big a deal? Morty, this goes way beyond some temporary boost in creative thinking. These brands aren't just influencing what you buy, they're literally shaping your identity. There's this guy, Americus Reed, pretentious name by the way, he studies this crap at University of Pennsylvania. And he's figured out that when you choose between Nike and Under Armour, you're not just picking shoes, you're choosing an entire identity construct.
I don't get it. They're just shoes, Rick.
No, Morty. To your primitive tribal brain, they're not just shoes. Nike is about performance, being the best, winning, all that inspirational garbage they shove down your throat with their swoosh logo. Under Armour? That's the underdog brand. That's for people who want to see themselves as fighters, as grinders, as people proving everyone wrong. When you put on that Nike shirt, you're telling the world and yourself a story about who you are. And your brain? Your brain eats that story up like it's interdimensional cable premium content.
So you're saying when I wear my Nike shoes, I'm like creating a version of myself?
Finally, a coherent thought from the Morty brain. Yes, every brand choice you make is you constructing this elaborate fiction about your identity. And here's where it gets really pathetic. Once you've identified with a brand, once it becomes part of how you see yourself, you defend it like it's your family. Someone talks trash about Apple, the Apple cult member jumps in to defend it. Why? Because in their mushy brain, an attack on Apple is an attack on them personally. It's tribalism, Morty. The same stupid monkey brain programming that made your ancestors fight wars over which invisible sky daddy was real. Except now it's about phones and sneakers.
That seems kind of extreme, Rick. Do people really care that much about brands?
Extreme? You want extreme? Let me tell you about what Michael Platt found. This guy's a neuroscience professor who actually bothered to look inside people's brains while they heard news about brands. He stuck iPhone users and Samsung users in MRI machines and showed them good news and bad news about Apple and Samsung. Want to know what happened?
They liked good news about their brand and didn't like bad news?
Wrong again, Morty. Well, partially wrong, which for you is basically an achievement. The iPhone users, their brains showed empathy responses to Apple News. The same exact neural patterns you'd see if they heard news about their own family members. Their brains literally processed Apple as family. But here's the kicker. The Samsung users, nothing. No empathy response to Samsung News at all. Zero. Zilch. Nada.
Wait, so Samsung users don't care about Samsung?
Worse, Morty. The only response Samsung users showed was reverse empathy for Apple. When Apple got bad news, their brains lit up with positive responses. You know what this means? Samsung customers aren't buying Samsung because they love Samsung. They're buying Samsung because they hate Apple. Apple has so completely dominated the market psychology that their competitors' entire customer base is defined by opposition to them. It's beautiful in its dystopian efficiency.
Geez, Rick, That's really messed up!
Oh, it gets better. Or worse, depending on your perspective and how much you value free will, which, spoiler alert, doesn't exist. These Samsung users didn't even know this was happening. When researchers asked them how they felt, their reported feelings were completely different from what their brain scans showed. Their conscious minds had no idea that subconsciously they were just hate-buying anti-Apple products. Most people have absolutely no clue that they're choosing brands because of self-expressive value. They think they're being rational, comparing features and prices, but really they're just emotional puppets dancing on corporate strings.
So what you're saying is, we can trust our own brains.
Now you're getting it, Morty. Your brain is constantly lying to you, making up justifications for decisions you've already made subconsciously. These companies have spent trillions of dollars collectively figuring out how to exploit every cognitive bias, every emotional trigger, every tribal instinct you've got. And it works. It works so well that people will wait in line for hours to pay premium prices for products that are marginally different from cheaper alternatives.
Okay, this is really freaking me out, Rick. Is there anything we can do about it?
Well, Morty, the first step is awareness. Just knowing that brands have this power over you is something. Pause before you buy something and ask yourself why you really want it. Is it because you genuinely need the features? Or is it because you want to feel like the kind of person who owns that brand? Of course, even this self-awareness is limited because you're fighting against billions of dollars of neuroscience research and psychological manipulation. But hey, at least you're trying.
Can't we just, not buy brands? Just buy generic everything?
Oh, Morty, you sweet summer child. That's what everyone says. I'm not into brands. I'm above all that. But guess what? Rejecting brands is still a brand identity. It's the anti-brand brand. You think you're being all independent and free-thinking, but you're just affiliating with a different tribe. The I'm too smart for marketing tribe, which ironically is exactly what certain brands market themselves as.
So there's no escape? We're just stuck being manipulated forever.
Pretty much. Look, humans need support systems. We're tribal creatures. We need to belong to something. Used to be church, community, local institutions. Those have all crumbled under the weight of late-stage capitalism and social atomization. So brands stepped in to fill that void. They became pillars of identity. And honestly, for most people, that's fine. They're happy with it. They get a sense of belonging, a feeling of identity, and all it costs them is money and the illusion of free will.
That's really depressing, Rick.
Welcome to reality, Morty. But here's the thing. Some researchers like that Reed guy actually see this positively. They think brands providing identity and community is actually helpful for people. And maybe they're right. Maybe having your identity shaped by whether you're Team iPhone or Team Samsung is no worse than having it shaped by which football team you root for or which political party you blindly support. It's all tribalism, just with better product design.
So what's the point of even knowing all this if we can't change it?
The point, Morty, is that knowledge is power, even if it's depressing power. Understanding that your brain is being influenced by brands at a subconscious level means you can at least try to make more conscious decisions. You can question whether you really need that $200 pair of sneakers or if you just want the status they represent. You can think about whether that brand loyalty is serving you or just serving the corporation's bottom line. Plus, and this is important, Morty, as we learn more about how brands manipulate neural pathways and subconscious decision-making, we have to think about the ethical implications. We're talking about corporations having the ability to influence behavior in ways that bypass conscious reasoning. That's some serious mind control adjacent stuff. Society needs to have conversations about what's acceptable and what's not. What regulations might be necessary. Whether there should be limits on how deep into your brain companies can dig to extract profit.
Do you think that'll ever happen, Rick? People actually regulating this stuff?
In this dimension? Unlikely. Corporate lobbying is too strong and most people don't even realize they're being manipulated. But hey, at least now you know, Morty. You're slightly less of a mindless consumer drone than you were 20 minutes ago. Congratulations. That's about as close to winning as you're gonna get in this capitalist hellscape we call modern society.
Gee, thanks, Rick. I feel so much better now.
Sarcasm, Morty. Maybe you are learning something after all. Now come on, we've got interdimensional errands to run and I need to pick up some Szechuan sauce because even though I know it's just corporate nostalgia manipulation, I genuinely enjoy the taste and I've made peace with that contradiction. That's called being self-aware while still being complicit, Morty. It's the human condition. Get used to it.